then it gave us an opportunity to take a shot at scoring, and I think we ended up getting the ball at the minus 40. I think if my memory's right on that, and then just some tremendous plays. The play by Jeremiah, and then we at least have a field goal there, so we got to play smart. And I thought Chip was aggressive, did a really good job of calling him, and Devin stepped up in a big way, came in for Will and delivered that throw. But I mean, what an unbelievable catch! I mean, I couldn't believe he caught it. Just a tremendous play. But then I thought we came out in the second half too, and continued that, because 28-7 at half, and we wanted to get the thing to at least 35. And I think when you come out and you can get a 3-and-out, or I don't know if it was exactly a 3-and-out, and then get the ball back and score another touchdown. It just it flips the game, and I thought that was kind of where the game turned.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to start with you first, man.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Coach Day's comments?
I just love Coach Day. I think he's a gritty coach, and this is a gritty football team. We were talking a little bit off camera, the offensive line, how improved they look, coming into this year, particularly after Donovan Jackson has joined. We said the Jackson 5 after, our keys to the game last week. But just seeing how it's not even just the offensive line. You talk about the running backs, watching them pick up blocks. I remember that was something Ezekiel Elliott really took pride in. One of the best running backs here, all the glory and accolades and touchdowns, but he really would take pride in that pass blocking. We're seeing that from the running backs as well, even the wide receivers. That's a mark of an unselfish football team, and that's what's going to take you to the next level for a championship.
Yeah, Ben, I was going to say too earlier, that run blocking from the wide receivers, and Emeka Egbuka was out there handling some dudes tonight,
yes,
so that was also impressive. Now, Jay, looking at Will Howard's performance tonight, a little bit up and down. We saw his veteran presence. He made some mistakes, but he was able to rebound, and he also toughed it out when he got injured to come back and run in for a touchdown. How would you assess his performance?
So I got some thoughts on Will Howard, and I'll try to be brief. And I know I said some things on Twitter last week about Will Howard that folks agreed with and some challenged me on. I'm going to say this. I like Will Howard a lot.
Yep.
He's an upgrade at that position this season. I think Will Howard brings physicality. He brings toughness. He has a dual threat element that we haven't really seen enough of yet. I think Will Howard is a little bit limited in some of the things he can do with his right arm. That does not mean that that's a knock on him or that he cannot be great or a championship quarterback. Listen, I was on a team, we won a championship with Craig Krenzel. Craig Krenzel's fantastic, cerebral, tough, and he had an attitude out there. I think Will has all of those things. I would call Will a souped-up Craig Krenzel, and that ain't an insult. That's actually a tip of the cap, because the kid's got some things he can do. What Chip Kelly and Ryan Day are learning is what things make Will go, what things he's comfortable with, where to put the ball, what rhythm he needs to be in, and then where are his limitations? Where do we not want to go with him to make him overdo it? With that interception, you saw him trying to make a play there that really wasn't there, double coverage, threw it anyway, gets picked off. No big deal. He bounces back, catches fire, gets going, gets the ball to number 4, which will help any quarterback catch fire. And then before you know it, he's having a great game. 21 of 31, 244, 2 touchdowns, also had a rushing touchdown. I love what this kid can do. I think this offense is going to have to continue to revolve around the running game, and I think that will open things up and allow him to feature his skills. But what I said about Will Howard is not a knock at all. This kid can do it all. I just think that he has certain limitations throwing the ball far downfield. It's not that Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud deep ball, but that's okay. That's because he does everything between the numbers fantastic, and this offense can roll with that.
And he can still get it done, and his ability to bounce back, as you mentioned, is that veteran presence, right? And he just looks so good out there. And the fact that he seamlessly transitioned here into Ohio State to learning the offense, a credit to him as well.
He just got here, so he's still learning.
Right?
Make no mistake, that handoff to number 4 looked pretty sweet,
That's
though.
Right,
that's a nice strategy, Jay. I'm just saying, man.
When in doubt,
when all else
I'm finding ways to get it to 4.
It's all clicking, right?
Just saying.
All right, much more to come here on the Football Fever. When we come back, we look at where the Buckeyes need to improve on their quest for a championship. This is the Football Fever. We'll be right back.
All right, in the Apex Pros Plumbing, Heating, and Air, the Pros Who Know segment, we go to our resident pro here, and Jay Richardson. Now, things started a little shaky tonight. There he is, right over there. Defense seemed to get it together, though. The Spartans moved the ball down the field pretty easily early on. Jay, how are you feeling about the defensive performance overall?
So I want to start off by saying this is typical Jim Knowles style defense. It's bend but don't break. It's playing off the ball. I know folks at home are like, man, why aren't our corners rolled up there a little bit tighter? Why is there so much distance? Because they want to keep everything in front of them. The big thing with Jim Knowles' defenses is do not give up the big play. Make the team go the long, hard way. They'll make the mistake before we make the mistake. And he's usually right. I think at times it holds our front four back from being able to have big-time impactful plays. It also freezes our linebackers at times, and now they can't take off downhill and make big plays when they see it and use those athletic instincts because they don't want to compromise the integrity of the defense. I respect that. I love what Jim Knowles is doing, but at the same time, you're going to have to switch it up at some point. You're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive. We haven't had to yet because we have not played competition that has forced us to be aggressive. It will come at some point, and Knowles has to be ready for that.
Well, it's bend but don't break. And remember why he was hired, right? There were all these explosive plays, went out and got the best guy available. That's why he's the over $1 million man as the D coordinator. Doing a good job, but I like that idea, becoming a little more aggressive here. Big takeaway, though, as the Buckeyes forcing several turnovers. We had Jordan Hancock, Lathan Ransom, both forcing big fumbles, and Denzel Burke came up with an interception as well. Jay, these were big positives from this.
Big time. So when you look at the Ohio State Buckeyes defense thus far, the hallmark is starting to become, I guess their personality is turnovers. They cause turnovers. I think they're lead the Big Ten. I mean, they just continue to punch the ball out, get interceptions. Even on Denzel Burke's interception, you saw JT Tuimoloau right there in the middle, clogging up the quarterback's vision, allowing him to not be able to see where Zell was. That caused that. So when you have a defense that swarms the football and you got a bunch of ball hawks in the back end, you can play that bend but don't break style because on a long enough timeline, you're going to create some sort of big play. I just don't want this defense to have to rely on these big plays. If they happen, fantastic. You want that to happen, but it can't be a situation where, oh no, we're in a kind of a bind here. Let's hope somebody makes a big play, and then you're counting on it. I know I sound like a negative Nancy or whatever.
Always a negative Nancy.
But you guys know me. I'm realistic. I understand how this season's going to look. I understand the challenges that are ahead. You have got to be disciplined, and you've got to also be aggressive and play clean football. And we'll get to the clean football part here in a second.
Now, Jay, you mentioned Ohio State leading the Big Ten in turnovers, but you know who also leads the Big Ten in the reverse of giving up the most turnovers? Michigan State.
So it all makes sense.
So it all makes sense.
Good analysis.
And I'll say Buckeyes today, 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. Not a bad day.
Caleb Downs, by the way. Big shout out to Caleb Downs.
He flashed.
This kid flashed big time. And it's funny, being a support player, sometimes you don't often get your name called a whole lot. So I want to make sure people know Caleb Downs has been playing fantastic football for 4 weeks now. And today he really flashed, having tackle for loss, led the team in tackles. He is the quarterback of this defense. He keeps everything in front of him. He keeps everybody lined up and organized. And he's only a sophomore. This kid was the freshman of the year, the SEC last year. And now he's with us, and he's kicking butt. Just keep doing it.
Silver Bullet Swarm. He looks pretty good in the scarlet and gray.
He certainly does.
Wears the uniform very nice, as we like to say. Now, penalties continue to be an issue for OSU tonight. As we know, he's not happy about it.
He's been
becoming
ready
a
for
theme
this
for this Buckeye team, and we need to put a stop to it. You'll remember Denzel Burke was ejected against Western Michigan. The DB was tossed late in the first quarter after leading with the crown of the helmet. It was a close call, obviously, but you still can't put yourself in that position. Then it was Caden Curry that found himself in the same position against Marshall. D lineman also getting ejected for targeting after this late hit on the quarterback, Stone Earl. The good news, both players were ejected in the first half, which meant per NCAA rules, they didn't have to sit out a week. Jay, we didn't see any ejections tonight, but this team, they still need to clean up the penalties. I know you feel quite strongly.
He's been ready for this.
Folks, I've been saying this now for what has to be like 5-6 years. And you guys have heard me on here even after big wins. The first thing I say is, hey, we look great here. Oh, by the way, still had more penalties than the opposing team. I don't know why that still is. Tonight, Ohio State had 4 penalties for 40 yards. Michigan State, the more inferior team, the team that you would think would have more penalties, only had 2 penalties for 19 yards. These things are nitpicky by me right now, I know, but they're only nitpicky until they become big issues against better competition. Last year in the Michigan game, Ohio State had more penalties. Ohio State loses that game. It's a big deal. I don't want to freak everybody out, but these are things that can be symptomatic of a bigger issue. I think they'll get cleaned up. I think Ryan has heard us say it enough, has seen the stat column and gone, man, another week where we have more penalties than our opponent. We got to get this figured out. But it all comes back to discipline. Now, the ejection stuff and the targeting, listen, man, I love guys playing good, aggressive football. I hate some of these targeting calls. They can't help some of those things.
Sure.
Right.
But the offsides, the holding calls, little things that'll stall a drive, that'll get your offense off the field, that'll keep the opposing offense on the field, those are the things that Ohio State can clean up. And then before you know it, this game looks way better. It's easily 50-7 instead of 38-7. I promise you that.
The word is discipline that we need to remember,
for sure.
as we know. All right, we're back with the Honda highlights when the football fever continues. All right, let's take a look at the Honda highlights here on the Football Fever. Not much action in the first quarter, so let's fast forward to the second. We're going to take a look. We pick things up deep in Spartan territory. Will Howard reading the defense and picks out his big tight end, G. Scott Jr., for a 3-yard touchdown grab. Jay, the Bucs starting to heat up here.
Look at G. Scott, Reverend Scott, getting him some love. Love to see it, man. That kid's been with the program a while, and he's been a stable position.
Yeah, but their momentum takes a hit when Howard makes a poor read here. The senior throwing into double coverage. He was aiming for Emeka Egbuka. Receiver couldn't make the play, and that turnover sets up Sparty. Michigan State finding the back of the end zone after a quick screen to Jerron Glover. Jay, turnovers that lead to scores, those are killer in football.
And you know what? What I will say about that, though, is Will put that behind him, got going, and really caught some momentum, caught some fire. So we're going to give him a pass on that.
Yeah, Michigan State would be chasing that high all game long. Jeremiah Smith providing the sparks the Buckeyes needed with the end around that sees the freshman gallop into the end zone to make it 17-7. but he was not done there. After one of the most insane catches
Look
of
at
the year
this.
so far, look at that there. JJ does it again. Devin Brown lofting one into the end zone, and Smith hauls it in with one hand. That's 2 touchdowns now for
Oh
number
my
4,
goodness.
flashing the deuce as he crosses the goal line. He's pretty special. OSU goes into half 24-7, and it was more of the same in the third quarter. Howard finding Egbuka for a 33-yard touchdown pass before the QB used his legs to make it 38-7. After that, Howard took a break, well-deserved, handing over the reins to both Devin Brown and Julian Sayin, the two closing out the game up in East Lansing. This one finishing 38-7. The Buckeyes improve to 4-0 this season and extend their win streak against Sparty to 9.
I was like,
mozzarella was good. And add a little basil to that thing.
Okay. I was like, what? And I saw your name.
I'm
I
over
was
here
like,
talking
are you
about
ready?
basil. There y'all go. Give me
you
that
guys.
box.
And we are back with the Kia dealers' keys to the game. Crowd control. The Buckeyes came in and handled things well in a hostile environment. Next, be special. We saw an improved special teams, no muff punts and no kickoff issues. And of course, the Buckeyes stayed hungry, guys. They came, they saw, and they conquered the Spartans, taking care of business in East Lansing. Now, let's bring in our Dave Holmes one last time, live from East Lansing. And Dave, how would you assess Ohio State's performance tonight?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. I mean, it's easy to pick this team apart, as fans quite often do, because you know what's coming down the road. They have to be really, really good, almost perfect to win a national championship. But still, you go on the road, 38-7 in your first conference game, your first road game. Defense a little shaky, giving up about 10 yards of play there in the first quarter, but they settled down again, just like last week. Caleb Downs showed up. And the good thing about this team is if someone isn't on, there's always someone who is. And I have yet to see a team who can cover Emeka Egbuka, a team that can cover Jeremiah Smith, let alone both at the same time. So I think there's a lot of positives here, Kellyanne. I know fans always pick this team apart, but 38-7 is a good first outing in the Big Ten.
Dave, I know everybody's supposed to keep it professional in the press box, but did anybody react to all of those incredible catches JJ was making there tonight?
You know, it's so funny because there's one sign posted in every press box in America, and it says, "No cheering in the press box." Those signs were invented before Jeremiah Smith was born. So I'm going to go and excuse them for putting the signs up. He made the first catch, and everyone goes, oh, it was an audible gasp. Then he makes the second one, and it was a exhale. Not cheering, but it was absolute shock and amazement.
Oh, I bet. Thank you so much, Dave. Awesome job out there in East Lansing.
We had a lot of shock and awe as well. Quick final thoughts, guys? Quick final thoughts?
Hey,
here?
they came into East Lansing, took care of business. Now it's on to Iowa.
Yeah.
First road game, first night game, a lot of pressure on the young guys to go out there perform. A lot of new faces on this team. Everybody found a way to show up, found a way to contribute. We know what's coming.